Good morning, my friends. I thought I had paused that. I don't want any background music. I have a special treat for you today. Here. Can I tell you? Can you see what happenings? It keeps popping back on. Oh, you're going to stay off now? Okay. I have someone playing with the remote this morning. So here we go. What I haven't done here in ever is my spoken word. And one thing I learned and picked up in Arizona was my voice. I had gathered a lot of tools before I left for Arizona, and it was in 2014 when I met the Decipherus Anonymous team. And let me tell you, they changed my life. I don't remember which one I spoke this at, but here we go. The journey of discovering, uncovering, and finding the authentic self is often laced with beautifully chaotic steps along unpaved roads and trails that live on the edge of everything we thought we knew. More than a decade ago, closer to 2 now, I stood strong in my conviction in taking back my voice, and I have aggressively, enthusiastically, and painfully fought to speak my truth and the lessons that I've learned along the way. My struggle, I came to find, lay deeper and became evident after a moment of painful clarity that finally broke the shell of my old self, leaving it to crumble around me in a place where I had no supports to really help. There was no turning back, and that shell is just a memory now. And I refuse to be anything but the starseed that I have worked so hard to heal and develop and provide that core strength necessary as I move forward on this magical journey. The time is always today. In each moment you choose to make this world a better place and to shine your brightest self. My fire has been fueled by the love and support from my family, friends, lovers, and community. Supporting me as they are able when I send out those distress signals. The white flags after I've exhausted all of my own resources and desperately need to find my own way home. For this, I'm eternally grateful, and in turn, I pay it forward always, because sometimes we all just need a little help. Be the change, and to take on this divine job of healing the world, it continually progresses, and my years of building my boat full of everything I need to sail these waters, not always with ease, but with exactly what I need to take on this new terrain, these new adventures, to gain new resources and skills. Many are blinded by the light I produce, and I've heard it time and time again. I cannot allow myself to be extinguished. That serves absolutely no one. This big game that many of you have been privy to hearing of, pieces of, ideas, they often spin circles around and intersect with each other, one thing dancing harmoniously into the next. I could talk about it for hours, and I'll make it happen, but I'm also a realist, so being stable is a necessity. And over the past few years, I've had to just bring the sails in on my ship and ride the tides and let it bring where it needs me to bring. Let it bring me. Let's go. I don't know how this journey will unravel, what roads I will take. I don't have a map, but instead a solid ship to sail me through these waters. The winds of hope and change to push me into the directions that I need to, and learning to really trust the process. no matter how fucking hard it is. This time, trying to be a little bit more organized along the way. Over the past year, when I had written this, but this was 5 years ago, it still applies. I have been swept up by tornadoes and dropped rather hastily into places I can only say remind me of the show Quantum Leap, because honestly, they felt like parallel universes or lucid dreams. A couple times there. It's been interesting. I've been riding the waves of these tsunamis and walking this tightrope above the high flames. Ooh, high above the flames of destruction and chaos across much of my old life, leaving all of them with new scars, plenty of stories, strengthened resiliencies, and at least a handful of lessons. At least. I've definitely stopped being afraid to jump higher because I always have what I need to make it safely to life's next checkpoint. I appreciate those things I've worked for, the struggles that gave me the strength to push higher. I want us to help us all go back to the roots we feel in our hearts and back home. Not a geographic place on the map, but to a peaceful place where we spend more time learning about ourselves as a creative community and embracing our diversity. We are so much more than we give ourselves credit for, and we forget that all the time. Many may and often ask, why do you need this? I see it in their polite smiles and piqued curiosities like I can't. That task is too big and why bother? And others joke. You know Berta. You know, that magical Bertakins. She says what she's going to do. What she says she's going to do. Yep, and she does it. And I do it. And I've had a decade of doing and saying and growing and jumping and building. And now I'm home. And all my life has been one big game of go big or go home. And all the ideas you've heard, they're all percolating. They're coming. And I've added more. I just needed to lose myself for a while. And I did for quite a few years. I went on a journey into a place I'd never thought I'd jump to. One full of, one of my many oh wells. I had to. I did. I had to. Because I cannot live with a what if. I have to look. I have to check it out. Try it on. If only a short while to see if it might work. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's when you bail. We get the lessons we need by continuing to jump and by learning and growing each time. Life throws us in the directions we need to be in, not necessarily what we want to be in. This has been a full circle journey, and honestly, it's been quite the spiral home. It was, at that point, 365 days ago, that my heart had left the cabin. My body soon followed, and it was to that empty cabin I thought I'd be landing before I returned to this past weekend, because I had left, had to do a quantum leap out there, and I came back, and I thought I was staying, but boy was I wrong. Oh, I thought I was landing there to embrace the new moon with grace and ground myself into the earth and reassess and refuel my ship, and I did. But my landing there was short-lived. That adventure into the quantum leap, into coming home, back to the cabin, back to all those places, had begun with the passing of my grandmother, and it had ended with walking bittersweetly away from a decade-long friendship that I had once hoped to rekindle again, but have since decided to bury it. Some people just aren't ready to fly, and again, my voice and light was too loud, and well, I can't be anyone but me. I left with love and compassion, like I always do, and understanding that sometimes all we can do is try. I came back filled with memories of a full moon drum circle in the Colorado mountains, where I passionately danced freely alongside a beautiful star who lovingly reminded me to put my superhero cape back on and save my own damn self. So I was back in Prescott for a little while, that town that kept calling me back. The game was harder this time. I had no car. I had secured employment, and I was on the right track. And sometimes we need a storm to bring us back where I thought was my home. And I kept coming back there, and it felt great. But that was my last stop. Shortly after, I packed my bags, and I moved 2 bags. And I moved to South Carolina to help my children. That was another quantum leap in my life that spiraled me back into coming home on the eve of my birthday, actually, on my 42nd birthday, I think, to come back home to the place that I really needed to be, here in southeastern Connecticut, the place that grew me as an artist. I came home and I married into the name Rose, and I came back to the Rose City. If that's not a spiral, I don't know what is. So here I am, making tiny waves and rooting deeper, planting these seeds that I've been carrying for so long, and just taking a much slower road, because at that time when I wrote that, Lyme had not infiltrated my body. So here we are, pushing into 2022. That was nearly 5 years ago, 4 years that I wrote that. And here we are. Here we are. I'm back home. My stuff came back from Prescott. I've absorbed what I needed to into my home, purged what I needed to, felt the grief of my former life. And now, let's make some magic happen. So here we go. Y'all, you get every day, you have the option to change your life. You do. You just have to feel it in your heart, in your soul, and in your backbone, and in your plans. But you can do it. Hope you all have a magical New Year. It's very low-key plans here in the Rose household. That's exactly the way we like them. Hope you guys are surrounded by love and peace and magic. And this will be the last couch chat of 2021. Have a magical day, and I'll see you soon.